and thank everybody for being here. The public comment, have we got any? No. All right, you didn't sign up. Did he have an opportunity to sign up?
Yeah. Roland. He was on my desk.
Anybody have a problem?
I'm good.
That's
That's good.
We'll let him slide this time.
Carlton Pittman, 144 Tarpon, Block Q. It's probably more in Frank's domain. Somebody please start thinking about boat trailer traffic and pedestrian traffic come concert time. If the idea is to get the venue open by July, which is what I saw on the town website, it may be similar to festival parking, but somebody needs to look at that. 300 or 400 people walking around, boat trailers coming and going, figure that out before then. Because I don't think Block Q redevelopment would be done by then. The venue, the concert venue maybe, but I don't think the big development will be done. So look at that. There's still one of the previous drawings of Block Q that I think Pinnacle did that's on the town website on the project page. So if that's out of the picture, you might want to remove that picture. If that project is out of the, I do like the town website now with all the project information there. That's very helpful. Budgeting stuff. When you talk about removing budget streams or part of a budget stream being paid parking in the off season, I'll say the same thing I said in the email. Be very cautious about removing that as the pressure on the island grows every month. Every house that goes up between the river, every mobile home that's put in there, those people are coming here. You want to give free parking to somebody, give it to the town employees. I mentioned that 4 years ago, and at the time David said we couldn't do that because it exceeded the dollar value that you could give in a gift. Give every one of them $175 stipend in their paycheck. If they want to come here on their day off, they should get free parking, if anybody does. I'm fine with not having it for residents. I think we should get it, but I can live with that. But if you want to give pay parking to anybody, free pay, give it to town employees. They've earned that. None of us live here, rent houses here, come to visit here without the work they do. And I'll ask you 2 questions on financing in the budget. Have you figured out how to finance the fire station? If not, be careful of removing revenue streams, and if you figured out how to fund a pier building. You can't raise taxes anytime soon for a pier, but what's a new commercial building going to cost? A couple million? ADA compliant, all that. You got to figure out how to fund that. So be very cautious removing revenue streams. I know we got some capital debt coming off the books in a few years, and that's great, but that'll get consumed somehow. So that's all I got for today.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I knew that was coming. I bet you planned it, didn't you?
We'll start on 108 Starfish Drive. I was looking at the handouts, and I saw where you're talking about creating a wood pier, and I just wanted to reiterate that I didn't vote against the bond referendum. I voted against the plan that was created. And when it was created, there was an email floating around where the person in charge of the plan said that a concrete pier was a non-starter. So I'd like to also reiterate that this town has never, ever gone and gotten a price for how much it would cost for a substantial concrete pier that lasts us 75 to 100 years and take a lot less maintenance than a wood pier. Johnny Mercer's owner, Matt Johnson, talked to him for an hour yesterday. He says his annual maintenance cost is about $20,000. If you look at the wooden pier, they're anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 a year for maintenance, and it only lasts 30 years. And if you'll keep reading the HDR report, then you're going to have to change out the pilings, and you're going to have to clean the barnacles off. Whereas concrete pier, when the barnacles get on there, that's great because it makes little things for the fish eat, and then the bigger fish come to eat the little fish. So concrete pier is the way to go, and whatever it costs, it is a value to the island. We're looking at an island that's worth $2,500 million, okay? And if we spent $50 million on a pier and a building down there, then that would not matter for what it's going to bring to this town in revenue and being a great place. The pier building needs to look something like this building, the same kind of building, a sturdy structure with concrete piers, and it needs to be something that's going to last. we don't need to be looking at this again in 30 years, or my kids don't need to be looking at it. And so right now, at present value money, the best thing we can do is the very best we can do. And anything less than that is just selling ourselves short. And if you look at our new HoldenBeachPier.com website, we have a bathhouse. Anybody that's ever been to the pier when it was running knows that the bathrooms in there were so bad that you could barely stay in there long enough to do the business, right? And that's why we have a separate bathhouse on the new HoldenBeachPier.com. And so that everybody that's visiting can use those bathrooms, those showers, and they don't have to be in the pier building all the time just to use the bathroom and go to the showers. So that is a comprehensive plan, and it is a nice plan. It's a beautiful building and a beautiful pier that'll last 75 years. And at present value money, you're just doing the right thing by doing this. And I just can't tell you enough. And if you go with this wooden pier again, then everybody's going to say, hell no, we don't want to do a non-insurable pier. We'd rather have a 200-mile-an-hour pier that's doesn't float, and it's going to be there when we come back. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Are we on we're on number 3 on our agenda. Budget workshop, fiscal year. Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, sir.
There we go. We appreciate y'all getting in, submitting, what you would like to do with the goals and objectives. So what we try to do is sort of consolidate some things. First, we want to go over just sort of the budget calendar. Oh, man.
If you tell me, I can click. All right, you just tell me what. Yeah.
One, what we're going to be talking about tonight's goals and objectives. And then we will be talking about expenditures first. We do that for, and then I'll give you some dates after this. Then we're going to be going to revenues. Then we're going to be talking about the combined revenues and expenditures. Then we're going to be meeting, sort of going over what my budget message is going to entail, if y'all are good with that. And then we'll be doing the public hearing, and then we'll be passing the budget at the June regular meeting. So the proposed calendar next.
No, that's not it.
Oh,
That
that's
would
not
be
on that.
flash.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
That's
It's in your packet though.
Mhm.
Is looking at April the 10th at either 1 or 2 p.m. for the expenditures. May the 1st, 1 or 2 p.m. for revenues. May the 5th at 6 p.m. talking about revenues and expenditures. And then June the 4th at 6 p.m. we'll be discussing the budget message. Now, and again, that's in your packet. So hopefully those dates are somewhat will be good for you. We've sort of tried to put them far enough ahead that you can sort of plan. Any questions so far?
I looked at the calendar. I personally don't have any conflicts with those dates.
Yeah.
Doesn't City Vision start on May the 5th that we talked about going to? Isn't it the 5th through the 7th?
We'll double check within that.
City Vision, the League of
May
Municipalities.
5th through 7th.
City Vision
Oh, you know what?
in Raleigh.
Stand correct. Okay, I missed that. Thank you. So we may be able to incorporate it in another one. So but we'll check. We'll get the date ahead of it if we need to do another date. So we may be able to incorporate them together. So consolidate.
You want to try to approve the first 2, so we kind of got that far out.
Is that good with y'all?
Are we doing 1 or 2?
The time,
sorry.
1 or 2.
Oh, 1 o'clock.
Oh, 1 or 2.
We'll give it one.
1 o'clock will give a easier time if we want to do anything, add anything to it or whatnot.
1 o'clock?
Let's do 1
Just
1
putting
o'clock
that
on the
out
10th.
yes, sir.
and on the 1st.
And on the 1st.
and on the first. And we'll go ahead and stick with June the 4th, if that's good with y'all.
May the 1st is at 1:00 p.m.
Oh, okay, because you're doing the first month. Yeah. So somewhere between May 1st and June 4th, we'll put in the other meeting.
That's
Some-
correct.
somewhere
It's
around
not gonna be, it won't be very far off of the May the 5th time,
Okay.
And if possible, we can try, if we haven't done, we can do it all on the,
on the first, if we were able to incorporate that enough.
Okay.
So if that would work for y'all. If we can do that, I think that'll, that'd be one less meeting that you need. We good with that? All right. Next, basically, in your packet, you have a list of everything that was submitted to Heather, and tried to sort of consolidate everything. So these are just basically the ideas that sort of you all had together about addressing Block Q area for the planning and construction, evaluate parking options, further explore stormwater project construction, and explore future capital improvement spending. And I don't know if you want to go through the list that y'all submitted of everything. Basically sort of going through the objectives of 2026 for the Block Q Jordan Boulevard area. The implementation of the plan for the remainder of the Block Q area, concert venue and bathroom at Block Q. Consider the options for the old pavilion area, clean it up, make it presentable uses for the town. And then Block Q development, the phase continuation, develop boat parking, bench seating, and public amenities, basically pickleball courts if space permits, and a complete remaining green space, landscaping, prioritizing usability, accessibility, and long-term maintenance.
So the thing that we just did with McGill, that scope, which is a little later here, that's kind of, we're saying Block Q, Jordan Boulevard, but
That would
it
be,
could, okay, so that's that, okay.
you okay with that one? Parking, basically yearly paid parking update plan, the boat ramp and boat trailer parking, and then consider options including purchase of property for parking, boat parking, and other considerations to benefit the town and community.
One question I have for you on that, with
Okay.
the yearly paid parking update plan, when does that contract renew? Is it annual? Is it 3 years? Is it 5 years?
I have to pull it.
But it is annual, so we have to renew it annually? Okay.
We do that in the fall of the year, don't
Come up
we?
in the budget.
Yeah, I think recently within one of your the end of the year that he
Yeah.
came and
Yeah.
was asking if there was changes that needed to be made to the contract, if there was anything the board was looking at that was new. So I think your contract started over in January, but we'd have to pull it to verify.
Okay, but it's not 5 years. Okay.
That.
Yeah.
Stormwater prioritization of remaining stormwater projects and identifying funding, stormwater management, and then storm sewer projects, cost sharing. Fund the storm sewer improvements with cost sharing opportunities from property owners, developers, or government partners. Prioritize 2 current high need locations based on infrastructure assessments and existing plans.
The question I had on this one was, I know we're into a contract for that first phase. Is that right? Okay. Do we have the next, are we identifying the next areas this year, or are we just working through what we've already contracted? Because that's gonna be, what, almost a 2-year deal, right?
19 months.
So we're not really, are we at a stage where we need to identify the next step, or has that already been identified but from their plan?
In the master plan, right?
Yeah,
It's in the
Yeah.
master plan. You guys would have to identify it, but
right.
the only thing, I mean, it's fine for you to identify it in this off time throughout the year as a goal, but you're not gonna be asking for money for it
Right.
right now because you'd want to complete what you're working in and get closer to your end game before you do that.
So when we say we're highlighting stormwater, it's basically kind of, we're just following through what we've already decided on. Right? Okay. So nothing new. And then as far as identifying new areas, if we have time this year, we can do that, but it's not gonna be a budgetary issue either way. Is that right? Not any new stuff.
And you guys can word these however you want. I took what
Right.
you guys said and
Yeah,
put it in here. So if we're going through and you want to change the wording to condense it, that would be absolutely fine. So as he's going through, just let him know what you want changed.
Okay.
Mhm.
And it's just a matter, we just, whatever year comes up. Is there any cost associated with us looking for funding? Like writing grants or any of that kind of stuff? Or proposals, maybe?
Say that one more time, sorry.
Is there any financial that we need to look at, expenses, as far as going after funds for the next phase? Is that something we would do this year? Because it's already laid out, so there wouldn't be any engineering plans and there wouldn't be any construction plans, but would there be any need to expenses to go in after?
That I would suspect if we would identify that. If that's one of those things. I mean, that, and then we would, but I'm not expecting.
Okay,
anything.
all right.
You're gonna be required, no matter what, to have a match of some sort, and I think you're gonna have your plate full with the one we're working on. So I don't think you're gonna want to go past the 2 that you're working on right now.
Right.
For the one combined project.
Heather, are you okay with the wording so far?
I'm good unless anybody wants to change
Okay.
it. If you want for the stormwater for it literally just to say.
Well,
or-
let me ask you that question. So could this list is just like a list we're talking about that's kind of just written like it is. Are you forming a mission statement out of this or something? I mean,
We just keep them for throughout the year to make sure as we're going through the budget that we're working on them. Brian usually addresses them in his town manager's report.
okay.
So if there's a simpler, I didn't take any of your words and change them for everybody. So if there's a simpler explanation for each one, if you want to do one line for parking, one line for stormwater, that would be absolutely fine. It's completely up to you guys how you. It's just basically the first 2 pages of it, I'd say you'd use as the goals. The other 2 I just put in
There you
there
go.
because those were the ones
There.
that you guys had for the suggestion.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was just making sure we weren't, yeah. You've already done that. Perfect. Okay. I'm just making sure we're not going to end up with like a
We're
40-page
just going
mission statement.
through each one though, just because I want you to.
Okay.
Because you may or may not have been one of the ones composing those.
I got you.
Next thing, pier property. We got a pier plan, economic impact study for pier project, explore opportunities including donations, public-private partnerships and others for pier repair, replace, building for retail restaurant. And then you've got a pier anchor building and pier restoration rebuild, fund construction of new 2-story pier anchor building and advanced wooden pier restoration, reconstruction, and or extension. And there's a long thing there, so
Wonder
if
who that
anybody
is.
wants to
I
go.
don't know whose that one was. I didn't know you was going to read everything.
Now, talking about, the pier property, there's a lot in this right here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot. So I don't know if, it's something as you go along, if there's something that you want to do to discuss this. you know, because that one is a big one. If a special meeting, at a regular meeting, however you'd like to do that.
I'd like to suggest to the group possibly considering a special meeting for that, because if we're already into a meeting that's lasting a couple hours, then you come to this one, we'll be here till breakfast.
Do you, do you think that since we're gonna have the April 10th meeting, do you think we could do it? We're gonna just discuss expenditures at that time. Do you think there would
If-
be enough time to discuss the pier in depth then, or do you think it needs a meeting by itself?
Let me check, but I mean, just in case, but April the 10th, if you start at 1 o'clock, you know, there may be, it's according to how long, the expenditures go, but I think it should be enough time if we want to bring in, some other discussion into it, you know, bringing in, Tim, you feel that bus right there, you know? And bringing in, I don't know if you want, HDR right now is the, engineer of record. And so, but then we can also give some historical background of how we got. And so I don't know. That's up to y'all, you know.
So, we give an observation. And Mayor, I understand what you're talking about as far as having a special meeting to kind of isolate everything. One thing that I learned in going through the training that we went through afterwards, and I couldn't quite put my hand on what was wrong, but it became real clear whenever I attended that meeting. We attended, but I'll speak for myself as far as what I saw. I saw us people behind here getting involved, whether we should drive piles or whether we should jet piles, and whether we should use wood or whether we should use concrete and all this kind of stuff. And what I learned at the meeting was basically that's not our job. Our job is to say, hey, we want to fish 1,000 feet from the end of that sand, and if you can get us to walk on air, build it out of air. If you can get us to walk on wood, build it out of wood. If you build out of concrete, build out of concrete. Obviously provided some direction along the way, but that was kind of like what's on the ground. And so I'm comfortable to some degree doing it kind of what we did over here with the pavilion stage. I mean, that.
I need.
Go ahead.
Just a minute. You're getting into the meat of the subject.
Yes, sir.
We just need to be talking
Okay.
about the budget side of it.
Right. Okay.
I'm not trying to chastise you. I'm
No,
just
I
trying
got
to Keep order. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So we can schedule one, I mean, you know, to be able to discuss that, because look, that's part of the budget. I mean, if y'all put this as a goal, then we know that
Right.
there's gonna be something in there that we need to know about.
Okay.
And I'll get just enough into the weeds, Mayor, just to say that we appreciate that trust and however you need to do it, but I would not want to put the staff on making those types of choices,
Mhm.
because I think that's something that needs to come from y'all in not just the direction, not the generalities, but that. So, and I think that's what would help this.
Okay.
Okay.
So we need to determine whether we're gonna do it on April the 10th or a separate day.
I said, thanks.
Oh, me?
You're moving along. I like it. Now we're back on course.
If you would like, we can, if we see that we can say April the 10th, but if we see that there's going to be an issue, I will let y'all know if there would be some sort of a scheduling issue. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Water study.
The water study, thank you very much. Prioritize study, results from water study, i.e. do we need another water tower? Okay. Then a fire station planning, bulkheading, sewer station 2, future fire station evaluate, okay. All that stuff there. So, and then other is our resiliency projects, comprehensive strategic plan for town, saving for beach nourishment, and mobile bathroom relocation. So that would be other ideas. We internally have thought that another goal that should be set is looking at employee retention. There's a huge, I mean, all over the state, there's public employees are leaving the organizations, you know, they're finding other opportunities and all this kind of stuff. So that, my recommendation would be to add that as well to, you know, so. If y'all are okay with that.
Yeah, I think we usually always bring that up during the budget
Mhm.
talks, because that's always important.
Is there anything else that the staff would consider a potential that we would want to look at?
I'll say there's a whole bunch to chew in that. Just saying that, right now, I would say no, not at this point.
I don't have anything extra. What I was gonna say is, based on what he was saying, there's also another page there of things that people brought up individually that didn't connect into a common theme for these goals we put forward. So that's a following page too. But Brian had asked you guys to submit five goals. And so if you take what's on the objectives list, and what we tried to do is put that in the short sentences on this goals page for you. And so if you have 4 and you add the employee retention, that'll give you your 5. And I think that's a good course of action for you guys to follow for the year. But it's totally up to you if you want to do anything different. But this is like your short version of all those other things, except things that didn't align with what people were.
Priority areas, right, where we go.
Common thing.
Common themes, oh, sorry. Block Q, Jordan Boulevard. We've got parking, stormwater, pier property, and then the other facilities capital project. Basically, everything we just went through that. Okay? Everybody good with those? Priority areas, high quality infrastructure, community improvements, accessibility, and strategic capital project investment. Okay? Okay. Next steps are refining goals and objectives, and then expenditures. You good with the goals and objectives that are in there? Okay. All right. Questions for that? I think we're good. That it? As long as everybody's good with it. This is gonna be the fun discussion. Hope you got your ideas. The consideration of possible scope of work for Block Q. There are several pictures in there that give you a general overview, and then there was one from the master plan. So, has anybody thought anything about the scope that they would like to put in there?
What are we talking about?
Talking about Block Q.
It's a joke.
Brief? Is it brief?
I mean, only thing I would say is the Parks and Rec back in 2021 had a comprehensive plan and it identified that something would be a good idea to do something there. And so whenever we're looking at, Block Q, my thought is we've got this kind of central area of our island that encompasses a ton of things, and there's a chance that we could tie all this together with walking trails and with parks, and to make this whole area kind of cohesive. And because it's where, I mean, a ton of stuff, I mean, kayaks, kayak rentals, coffee shops, all of our restaurants are there right now. Um, Boat dock, boat parking, it's just a central hub. And so, I think it's an opportunity for us to look, if we're really talking about master planning, pull the lens back, and what you have in the picture here is just kind of look everything from Quentin Boulevard all the way to the chapel, and looking at that whole area and kind of defining it and saying, hey, I mean, because if we're a vacation destination, this would be a great amenity for families to come in, and we're going to put a pavilion here, which is going to attract people. And so we have restaurants here that attract people. We have ice cream, and we have coffee, and we have candy shops and slushies. And so we have all the stuff that families like to do in the evenings after a long day at the beach. So I think if we could take a little bit of time and work this through, then I think it'd be really something special for Holden Beach. I think for me at this stage, it's just to say, hey, how far out do we want to go? I mean, if I had my pick, I'd go from Quentin all the way over to the chapel, and then let the engineers look through all this, and McGill, and see what are our possibilities there, kind of the highest best use, which was one of their things in their proposal that they would do. And so, and then, we don't have to build everything this year. We could do it in stages. I mean, I see this as like a 5-year plan. That's what I see.
Okay, so, good, I'm sorry.
But we don't own much of that land over to the chapel, do we?
We have
He's
We
talking
own-
about using Clinton Avenue, which is here,
as a barrier.
all the way to the chapel.
Yeah.
But the only land that we own there,
Most all that's private.
most all this is private property.
What about the streets? Can we put sidewalks in the streets or not?
I think again, the intention of us being here this afternoon is to agree that we need to proceed toward following up and discussing that. We're getting into the
boat parking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
So-
basically, we need to tell McGill, okay, what, these are the parameters. This is the box. This is what you're
Right.
going to be able to utilize.
So, and my understanding is we're off of the goals and objectives.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
That's
we're into actually looking at
Block Q.
what we're going to give
That-
McGill, just the parameters.
That's
Not
correct.
necessarily not saying we got to put anything in here. It's just in this area, what's the highest and best things that we could do for there? Where's that going to be at? So are we just going to give them Block Q to look at, or are we going to extend that out to the old bathrooms, or we're going to extend it all the way over past Town Hall? My proposal is to go all the way from that road that separates Town Hall and the chapel, all the way over to Quentin, and give them that whole section and see what they come up with. That's my thoughts.
So you wanting them to do basically a linear plan to figure out if it's possible to connect all that together somehow.
Yeah, they may. I
With
mean,
sidewalks, basically.
yeah. If you look at the third page, the Parks and Rec plan, they've got kind of where their
Right.
boundaries are,
Right.
and the only thing we're really doing is kind of moving. Since we did at this time we didn't own Block Q, so I would just kind of move that over to include Quentin and bring all that in and see if any of this stuff, because just to see what's possible in that area.
Right.
And we could reduce it down and do 2 stages, to go divide it down the middle. Let's say do the right side over where Block Q is in the first phase, and the left phase, if you can tie it in there. But theirs kind of stretches all the way across anyway. So I figure while we're doing it, let's just go ahead and look at it. I don't want to do traffic studies or anything like that, but I'd like to move that boundary out to to those two areas. And they may come back and say, you know what, we can't do anything with these roads, we can't do anything with this connection area, we can't do anything there, but at least from a planning standpoint, we'll know.
I'd like to add to that. My recollection is we've been down this road, the town, the community has been down this road at least 4 times over the last 25 years. And this is the first time that we have, as you pointed out, Block Q, which does kind of give us a better direction than we've ever had. And the way I'm hearing the discussion going is you have a overall goal over a period of 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, whatever you dictate. And you have the first phase, as you've talked about, that needs to be incorporated in the long-term project. So what we're here tonight for is, I kind of agree with what you're saying, you know, but I'd also like to include the chapel, because the chapel has always been the conversation, as that's the hub of the town. And I don't want them to feel like we're cutting them out now. Oh, you know, you're not part of the community. A lot of people come here, enjoy the chapel just like other activities. So maybe include the campus of the chapel
and
over to what you just said, Halstead.
Yeah, and the reason, I apologize. The reason I didn't was because there's not a road on that backside. That's the only reason I didn't actually say that behind there. But yeah, no, I agree.
Okay.
Not a road, right?
On a road where?
Where?
We don't need a road on the backside of it.
Right, yeah, I'm just, wasn't an easy way to mark it off.
Gotcha. So I think
So
what we're
what-
talking about is an overall design that would connect from Block Q all the way over to Bridgeview Park, basically to the chapel.
To the west boundary of the campus of the chapel, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Would that be Yacht Watch, you think?
Yacht Watch Drive.
Starts at, you know, we start at-
Watch Drive.
Yeah.
Yacht Watch, this side of Yacht Watch, the east side of Yacht Watch Drive.
To Clinton.
You're going across Brunswick Avenue toward the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
the parking lot of the chapel, on the west side of the chapel, to Ocean Boulevard West,
Mm-hmm.
down Ocean Boulevard West to Halstead, Halstead to the waterway, including the dock, back on the waterway.
Yeah. And then do we need to specifically say the beach accesses to include that, or is that kind of
It's
understood?
already public, but
I mean, as far as just enter it, because we have,
they can draw that on the plan.
yeah, okay. I think in that area we have 2.
Yeah, I don't want to even think about drawing anything, including those front homes that
Yeah.
owners are panicked.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
Come to Holden Beach, enjoy these properties here.
Unless they rent them, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you're saying Ocean Boulevard to ICW, and then Quentin all the way down to basically Yacht Watch.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that.
So that would be our area.
Why? It is.
Halsted Park.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the dock.
Yeah, that'd be cool to connect all that. Yeah.
It's a big area, so what would you like to be considered? I mean, you know,
Well, let me just say this.
Uh-huh.
These people do this for a living.
Okay.
They're sitting the first radio. They're being hired to tell us what
okay,
people like. They're the professionals. They present back to us, then we can react to that.
okay.
If we know something we definitely want, yeah, go ahead and tell them, but I don't want to tell them how to do it and then pay them to feed the same thing
Yeah.
back to us because they think we'd like it.
Okay.
Let them bring
Well,
something
'cause
to us.
They'll take into consideration what we already own.
That's right.
It's open. They're gonna have to look and see what we can do under the bridge as far as permitting for that. And then any properties that we could possibly consider purchasing to put into that area too.
Yeah.
And I think in our discussion, we said that like we were going to meet with staff because staff has some of this information. And then we were going to meet with McGill and say, hey, here's kind of what we have. And then at that meeting there, they can probably push back a little bit and go, well, if we do this, it's gonna be this. And before they even start working on anything, we can have some preliminary stuff done. The planning department and the zoning and all of that.
I think that's a general consensus right there.
Yeah.
Okay, and no traffic stuff.
We need
Unless they do
You
them
can just
free now.
write a lot.
Yeah, just put a lot.
A lot.
But I think we do,
Okay.
we do want them to consider, I think we do want to see if we can't put somebody trailer parking in, so we do want that as something we do want them to take in consideration, because that was the intent from the beginning.
Yeah.
And vehicle parking, obviously, but particularly some trailer parking. And, I don't know, I mean, I know the rec committee recommended 4 pickleball courts, but I don't think there's enough room for 4 pickleball courts at Block Q. But maybe the consideration of maybe looking at 1, maybe, or 2, I don't know.
Well, again, I think,
But I think they can look at that space and see what they think it would accommodate.
yeah, I mean,
It all comes back to stormwater.
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
375 feet.
Yeah, it's,
375 feet of land disturbing activity there in the United States, $350,000 for the state stormwater.
and that's just Block Q though, right?
375,000.
how many feet does it take for a pickleball court?
Tim, I need you to talk to it, Mike, please.
Yeah, Tim.
How many feet does it take for a pickleball court?
Sorry.
Why are they putting back there?
Your voice wasn't coming across.
And that also brings up that question of not much left where you're gonna have to engage in complete stormwater management project on the state's requirements. You're also got to remember that McGill is professional and they are used to doing this, but they're not gonna do this overnight.
Right.
Right.
This ain't gonna happen overnight, and you got other things that, you may or may not wanna do over there in the interim. I don't know how that, because what you're talking about is, stopping anything that you may be able to do over there, for, I guess what you're creating is a comprehensive master plan, and you're entailing a huge area there. And, the island has things going on and things that have to be done every day. And, you're just gonna have to consider that if you are going into that large of a program for a comprehensive master plan, looking at that big area, that, anything that you may do over there may change that plan. It may cause it to be amended, just like your stormwater plan. So, whether it's taking in a large area is a good idea or phasing it with a large area is a good idea. May also be something you want to talk to McGill about to see how they feel about,
Mhm.
what I mean, because we got a project going on right now. I mean, we put it out to bid. That's in the middle of that area.
Yeah.
So, I think that McGill may be able to give us a better insight of whether we should take on the whole site.
Mhm.
Because they would have a better idea how it would interfere with each other, or if we should phase it where we know we're not gonna be doing stuff in the near future, and talk about what our ideas may be for what we are working at in those areas.
If I'm understanding you, Tim, right, basically what you're saying is, let's just say, let's go left and right. There's 2 phases. Everything over here close to town hall, we want to do some improvements here or something here that would fit in there. We really don't have anything planned right now for that, so we could plan this area and then hold that area off till we finish doing the structures that we've got in the projects, and then they can move to that area, because some of that stuff already be in.
Yeah, I think you're better off to get with McGill and find out what they
Yeah.
think the best course of action for the
Right.
town is, based off the actions that we already take and what we think we might be doing there.
Right.
I just think that's.
Well, we really can't
I
do much.
wouldn't give up your big area.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
try to get them tell us how best to handle the problems I perceive.
Right, and that's kind of what I think the thought process is to do that, and then kind of cull it down into what is actually actionable, but have an idea.
Because I don't know, and I may be speaking out of turn, maybe talking too much, but we all know what course Brunswick County is taking with
Mhm.
growth and development. Parking is gonna be a need.
Mhm.
You- and I'm not sure that we're gonna have the convenience of waiting on a big master plan before we do something about some parking in some areas of the town. And that's y'all's decision. But I just,
Yeah. So Christie, specifically on the recreation plan, the master plan that was in 21, was there a master plan before that? For recreation,
2012.
2012? So we're kind of talking about using the same concept for this area. Is that similar? I mean, I know recreation is all the way across, but because Mayor spoke to a while ago as far as doing this in times past and not getting far on it. If we do it from this aspect, would that be a better chance of us getting some improvement done if we've got a plan sitting out there? I know things change, but
That's a tough question to answer, because when this excerpt from page 48 is a recommendation from the 2021 plan. But the thing is we didn't own Block Q in 2021.
right.
So we made a plan and then we purchased property. So if for some reason y'all were to go and purchase property somewhere in this, it changes the whole game plan and dynamic of what we're doing again, which is kind of what makes it tough.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if you have something as broad as what you guys are talking about, you just need to be prepared that the price tag you get back to do that is going to be significant.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as everybody's prepared for that, they just needed some further direction on where things were going. But to say, yes, we can accomplish what we started is really depending on how the town morphs, because we got a nice piece of green space since the time the plan was made. Like literally the year after.
So is the suggestion that we should tone it down
We,
smaller for right now to get things done?
I think that's something maybe we can discuss with McGill to say if we did it in a phase to say, okay, this is where we're looking, but we would love to in like 2 years maybe to incorporate this. Ultimately, this is what we're looking at, but maybe we could sort of foster that conversation.
Because I agree with Tim about the parking. We need boat parking, boat and trailer parking. And with the growth, there are some opportunities to get areas for parking, I think needs to be taken into consideration.
Well, I don't think the comprehensive plan would preclude us from doing that. It just would be,
No, she's saying if you purchase property after the master plan, it's not in that plan.
right, but if we have a plan for that whole area and we purchase property within that plan, then we already know what we're going to do with it. That was my thought process, because it basically encompasses any parcel that would be available, I would think.
You
No.
well,
You have to
But
redo it.
I would say let's sit down with the staff and McGill, but let's put the boundaries here today, what the mayor said, and then we can always bring them in.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think we're looking at going any bigger. Okay, why are you turning red?
And it was in the easement.
So I mean, we can always coil it down.
Well, I think,
So
weren't you trying to get out of us to help you define the scope of work so that you can do the RFP? Is that what,
no,
is that what?
RFP is
we're-
done.
We're trying to get to the contract phase with them now.
Yeah.
Right,
And just so we needed some guidelines of where they're looking,
right. for
you
the-
know, and so we might could discuss if we did that in phases somehow.
Right. Well, if he comes back, he goes, okay, for this, it's gonna be 3 times what you have budgeted, then we can go, okay, well, how much can we afford to do this year and how much can we afford? I mean, at least look at that when we've got some kind of idea as far as the cost. And not numbers, but, as far as just get some idea. But I think,
One caveat to that.
Okay.
So with the RFQs, which is what you send out, the way that works is the engineer presents you a contract with a price.
Mhm.
And then if you can't come to an agreement, you then have the opportunity to move to somebody else. So you really wouldn't have the opportunity to have a whole lot of back and forth about what you're gonna change. You kinda need to have what you're gonna do defined ahead of time before they give you a number.
So when us and the staff meets, then that's where we would kind of do some options there before we sit down with McGill. Is that right?
No, it's not.
We would be the ones, you know, be going ahead and sitting.
I think that they were trying to get directions from us, I think. Am I wrong? Am I understanding that correctly? You're trying to get some direction from us on what we want them to
Right. Now,
include.
but the space, you know, when starting to talk about that, that was a bigger area. than I was
Yeah, that's a
thinking.
bigger area than
So,
what we were talking about.
And so, hey, you go big or go home, I guess, but, you know.
I don't see how you can get such stuff. We don't give them minimum requirement to do such stuff. I know I'm not allowed.
So what else anybody think we need to include other than the boat trailer parking and some additional vehicle parking and
Well,
course,
and there's gonna be limitations that they can do anyway,
Right.
just because of.
the space
The
constraints? And then, of course, they would know that the stage and pavilion's already going there, so that's gonna be an incorporated piece, I guess you would say. And then, I don't know, what do y'all think about the pickleball court? No, or yay or no? Don't look at it, look at it.
I kind of thought that's what we were. I thought McGill was going to do a conceptual at some point along the way, and say, "Hey, here's what we recommend to put in here."
Well, they are, but they need to know the area that you're talking about. If you're gonna go big, then you're talking about a 5-year plan. It's gonna hand tie you to the immediate, is the impression that I'm getting.
It's gonna be a big space, and, you know, exactly what Christy was saying, you know, things can change literally, you know, the next year, and all of a sudden, let's say that,
I thought we were concentrating on Block Q, the old pavilion area down Jordan Boulevard,
Right,
immediate need.
right. That's what I thought we were looking at. And if we can, some point can connect it all together, that would be wonderful.
I guess I was confused by master plan. I didn't know we was looking at parcels. We're talking about a parcel plan or a master plan?
You got, yeah. Yeah, it was just Jordan Boulevard, Block 2 and the bridge area. So I think they were trying to get more refinement for that area to give to McGill so they could come back next meeting and give us the contract is how I understood it. But
Okay.
Not that that's a bad idea. I think that would be more of a future thing is what you guys were probably looking at.
Right.
Well, I mean, we can piecemeal it. I'm good with that. We just want to do from Jordan Boulevard over? Are we saying that we think the project's gonna come back too expensive to do all the way over to include the chapel?
it's gonna be more, it'll be more than what it would be for that.
It's gonna get to where you're gonna
but-
not be able to do anything if you're stretching out something that could take over 5 years. It's gonna take 5 years. It's gonna tie your hands to what?
And we did,
Right?
let's stick, since we did the RFQ here, that could be something that we, you know, once we have a contract, we could, do and expand it at that point to say, okay, exactly what you were just saying, sort of a phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3, however much it is. And that way we can,
So are we saying we can't go big and go smaller, but we can go small and go bigger? Without.
Well,
go
we
ahead.
already put, I think the point is, we've already put the RFQ out for this particular area, Jordan Boulevard, Block Q, over to where the old pavilion, where the pavilion was before. And that's what they submitted it based on, is my understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll add something that may help you. So if, every 5 to 7 years, it's recommended that you do a new overall park spring festival. So if we did one in 2021, might be looking to do one in a couple fiscal years. They've already told you that the scope of work that was advertised is gonna take like 9 months. So just to do the area we were first looking at, so what you may want to consider doing is looking at where you were first considering and then pick up all the other stuff that you want included in your next master plan that's for the whole island.
So basically do one under this area and then do one under Parks and Rec. And the Parks and Rec would pick up all those other pieces in that area we just discussed. I'm cool with that. I don't care how you chew the apple. Okay, so we need to go back to our drawing and change those scopes then, right? Is that what we're saying?
I think y'all
No,
got it now.
I think we've got, I think we got it. You think we have it? Think we have it?
Mhm.
You good?
Have y'all had any thoughts, does staff any thoughts about what we could possibly do back over where the pavilion was before? Because I think that is an area that we really need to do something over there with us having that pier there. But I don't know what we could do there. I don't think it would work for boat trailer parking, so.
Well, the
Would-
Corps does have an easement through there. When
Right.
the Parks and Rec department was, not department, but committee was evaluating places for pickleball courts, the planning department went on one of our field trips with us, and they worked extensively to try to talk about where things might fit. And it's my recollection that a court would fit there, but we got a little bit of public outcry that wouldn't work from players that were in attendance because of its orientation. So I think Tim and I finally kind of but the ideal location was Block Q. So I'm not saying something can't go there, and it hasn't been talked about in the past, but coming to something that everybody could agree on for there didn't happen.
But it could fit there. A court could fit there.
Got to put some kind of sporting event there that goes north to south. Goes east to west, pickleball's impossible. Sunshine, yeah.
It's got to go north to south.
I think wear sunglasses.
That's good to know.
East, west.
Are we
pickleball,
Are we including that area in this?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
included, yeah. That's what I was thinking, if there was any ideas about that.
So it was calling
Okay.
it the current phase. We're talking about with the boundary now is going to be Jordan Boulevard all the way to the water, from Ocean Boulevard to the water over to Halsted Park and then back down Quinton. Is that what we're saying now?
No, we're not including that.
Not including
Yeah.
Halsted?
Mm.
Let's say, so Quinton to Jordan,
Yeah.
from ICW to OBE.
We don't own all the property all the way to the waterway.
Are we just looking at town-owned property? Is that all we're looking at?
Well, that's all we
I
can
thought we can do
develop.
anything with.
Let's buy it.
Can we, I mean, do we have the option to put sidewalks, to have walking trails to get people from OBW back to the ICW, or is that not in the scope?
If we don't own the land, we can't.
You can develop a plan for sidewalks. What you're talking about is access and egress. You could have that plan developed, I guess, by McGill in association with the other plan. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna charge for it if you put it in this plan. But, you know, if you're looking to interconnect all these streets and other areas with sidewalks, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to take a look at everything, just like they would, which they pay them to do, to see exactly where your access ways are and where you're taking them and where you're discharging them out. You know, clearly, we're gonna be doing something where we got the new bathrooms here, pavilion at, stage slash pavilion, whichever I would call it. You know, I don't know that that's a hard charge in this plan. Sidewalks are not a hard charge, and of course, if you've got right of way, you have the capability, if you've got enough of it for sidewalks. So if we got a road there that's on the Powell bill map, then that's a decision that y'all can make, where you can get, you know.
So just my thought, if we're only gonna look at block Q, we don't own anything else, so other than the thing, then why are we sending out for RFQ? Why don't we just decide what we want on this?
Because they're the ones that incorporate it to design, I mean, to,
They're going from the pavilion, so they have to look under the bridge, see what we can do with anything, because that's North Carolina Department.
yeah,
Down
you
to
have to.
Jordan, down to Jordan Boulevard.
They're gonna do some very, very interesting work, engineering and studies. And and I'm just using this for example.
Mm-hmm.
They may come back with Jordan Boulevard being dressed up to get us to block Q. They may come back with sidewalks, they may come back with other amenities that can be put along there when they find areas that they feel will fit that. And, it's that kind of, and it could be even more depth of that, but, those are pretty smart people. And whenever you do that, this is what you hired them for. They're gonna make sure that Beef's whole entire stormwater system and his entire water system and all your electrics is not disrupted by all this going on. They're gonna get down in the weeds and that kind of stuff. That's what you're asking for when you say,
Okay.
why didn't we just do block Q? You know what I
Okay.
mean? We're on block Q right now, but whenever you start doing a whole big area like that, you need someone like McGill to step in and say, this could be not good if you do this
Right.
here.
Okay. Okay.
That's the reason that it's gonna be a number of months. I mean, that's just it, because they have to take all that into consideration.
Okay.
I mean, even we developed the 25 to 30 park with a whole master plan, but I mean, look, it went down, we had stormwater, we had, pervious and impervious. That is just, like you say, I mean,
All day
it,
shop.
it is, and they're the ones, that's why you hire them to do it, because they can do it right.
Okay.
So. Okay. Good.
So do you think you have enough direction from us, or do you need more?
I think we do.
You think you do? You sound doubtful.
If that sounded like a train, didn't it?
It did
Last time
sound
they
like a
said that,
train.
somebody would say a tornado coming through.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
I'd like to ask commissioners, since we have such a dedicated, small group of people here tonight, could we give anybody in the audience 1 minute to say something condensed?
Sure.
Mhm.
If anybody wants to say 1 minute, raise your hand or not,
Go ahead, Will.
except Will.
Will, he can't talk for a
Except with-
minute.
I just like to say that, we play pickleball in my driveway. Payne has seen this, and,
I almost ran over my golf.
well, the thing about it is, for a full pickleball court, we don't really need the fences, we can run chase the ball. And it can be incorporated into a dance floor in front of the stage, just draw the grid out there, and plenty of people come out and wanna play. And they don't have to have the full pickleball court with the perfect cover on it or anything. All they need is a flat surface with a big enough area, and like a 2 or 3 foot border outside the court. And we have a great time doing it. We can run catch the ball. We don't need a fence, and it can be used for a dance floor after that. And any place that, isn't too much runoff or anything, it can be utilized for that. So we don't have to have it, beautiful and perfect and up to pickleball tournament standards. Just a nice flat place with a grid marked out.
Holy moly. I didn't expect that.
And maybe I'm confusing scope with requirements, but I've
Need your
never,
name.
Carlton Pittman, 144 Tarpon, I've never been on any project that was successful that didn't start with some requirements, some minimum requirements, whether it's pickleball courts, parking, whatever. You've got to give them something to work on. And then again, maybe I'm confusing scope with requirements, but you've got to have some minimum requirements for them to be successful, for you to get what you want.
Thank you. Anybody else want a minute? No, thank you for your participation. All right.
We'll take it back. We'll talk to them, see what they can find out. I mean, see if there's anything else that, and if something comes back up, we'll get back up with you. We'll
Thank you.
follow up. Okay, y'all good with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are we on the next one already?
Yes, sir. The
Which-
floor
which one-
floor
which
is
one is that?
yours. Where are we?
Oh, I guess we're at the very last.
The last one.
Yeah, number 5 on the agenda.
Move it to you.
It's up to you.
You go ahead, you're saying.
Oh, okay, I'm standing there. Actually, we did, Attorney Moore submitted her resignation effective May the 1st. And in order to solicit new legal counsel, the board would need to accept the resignation and determine the process for selection of the new attorney/firm. Staff recommends the board direct staff to issue a request for proposals for legal services unless a different method is preferred to move forward.
Do you need two separate motions or?
Chair would like to ask for a motion to recognize and accept the resignation with appreciation from the town attorney.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. We do mean thank you for her services.
Yeah.
Okay. Now moving on,
So you need a motion to staff direct issue or
start the process for advertising.
RFP for legal service.
Please.
So I make that motion.
Second, anybody?
Second.
Motion made and accepted. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. All right. Start the
All right.
process, sir.
That was the easiest one.
All right. Madam Clerk, have we completed the work session as far as items 1 through 5?
Yes, sir.
We're ready to move number 6, which we need a motion to go into executive session, I believe.
You want me to read it? All right. Closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A3 to consider the qualification, competence, performance of a public officer or employee, and North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A1 to prevent the disclosure of privileged information.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of going into executive session? The purpose is read. Say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. It's unanimous. We will be in executive session for a while.